Dirt bike clutches are an important part of the bike. They help to transfer power from the engine to the wheels and allow you to change gears. But how long do they last? And how can you tell when it's time for a new one? In this video, we'll tell you everything you need to know about dirt bike clutches. Stay tuned. How long should a dirt bike clutch last? In terms of mileage, the dirt bike clutch doesn't have many miles to cover. Since the clutch is only used to change gears, it should take a very long time before it needs to be replaced. If you use your dirt bike in normal conditions, the clutches tend to last between 50,000 and 60,000 miles before they need replacing. But if you're an off-road rider, you will have to replace them more regularly. If you ride off-road, the clutch should last between 15,000 to 35,000 miles before it needs replacing. How can I tell if my dirt bike clutch is worn out? There are a number of signs that your dirt bike's clutches are due for replacement. These can include 1. The bike is difficult to ride. If you find that your dirt bike is speeding up or slowing down unexpectedly, then this could be a sign of worn-out clutches. The dirt bike clutch should engage and disengage smoothly without any sudden movements. If they're not working as intended, it will be very hard to control the vehicle. While this could be due to other problems with the bike, it could also indicate that the clutches are worn out. Always remember to thoroughly inspect your dirt bike for any faults before riding it. 2. The engine is making a strange noise when I use the clutch. A very clear sign of a problem with your dirt bike's clutch is if you can hear a strange noise when you engage the clutch. The sound will be loud and clear, even over the revving of the engine. This is usually due to worn-out clutches which have very little grip, so tiny particles are being slung off them at high speed. If you notice this issue, immediately get yourself to a mechanic who can diagnose and fix the problem. 3. The clutch isn't disengaging properly. When a dirt bike's clutch starts to wear out, it will be very difficult for you to disengage it completely. This is another sign that your clutches have reached the end of their life cycle and should be replaced immediately. In some cases, dirt bikes with worn-out clutches will make a strange noise in place of the usual clicking sound when you disengage them. As we mentioned in the previous point, if your bike's clutch begins to behave erratically and starts making strange sounds, get it checked by a professional as soon as possible because you don't want to be riding around with faulty equipment. 4. Fluid is leaking from the bike. If your dirt bike's clutch begins to leak fluid, it usually means that there are worn-out parts which need replacing. Unfortunately, this can't be fixed with a minor adjustment. You'll have to completely replace the old parts. It's not easy or cheap, but it's necessary if you don't want your clutch to completely break down. How often should you replace a dirt bike clutch? As we mentioned above, a dirt bike's clutch should last between 50,000 and 60,000 miles at the very least. If you do most of your riding on road, it will take longer for the clutch to wear out. When it comes to replacing them, you can do so by changing the springs, the plates, or both. The good news is that you can do most of this work yourself if you have experience with bike mechanics, especially in terms of dirt bikes. 50,000 to 60,000 miles may seem like a long time, but it will go by in a blink of an eye, and before you know it, your clutch will be worn out. How expensive is it to replace a clutch? When you come into the conclusion of the 50,000 to 60,000 mile range and you notice your dirt bike's clutch is wearing, you should replace it. The good news is that the replacement parts will only cost around $40 to $100. It isn't a bad price for such an important part of your dirt bike. Additionally, you will not have to worry about this cost every year or so. Some people find that their clutches wear out after 300,000 miles. Others say they lasted them for over 700,000 miles. But in general, the average is around 50,000 miles, and with proper maintenance it can go up to 60,000 miles without any issues. If you buy a dirt bike and you want to make sure you won't need the replacement parts anytime soon, we suggest that you watch our video on how to maintain your dirt bike. It will save you some money in the long run, as well as headaches. My final thoughts. When it comes to the lifespan of your dirt bike's clutch, you won't have to worry about it often. But when the time comes and your dirt bike's clutch is worn out, you will know why or when exactly this has happened. Additionally, the replacement parts are affordable, and the entire process of replacing them, is rather simple. You might even discover that this is something you can do with your dirt bike buddies. So to answer the question, how long do dirt bikes' clutches last, we would say 500,000 miles plus or minus 1,000 miles.